All right, welcome back to KM6 LYW Radio, the show about amateur radio or ham radio with an emphasis on digital or data modes, moving information back and forth with the radio, reimagining amateur radio in the information age. Here we're going to talk about the DigiPi a little bit more today, or really any Raspberry Pi when it comes to using it for digital modes. That's what we've got going on down here. And we're going to really get into some detailed configuration options. And these are like the top 10 tweaks you can make to your Raspberry Pi or your DigiPi image to really customize it and make it your own. Let's talk about that this time on KM6 LYW Radio. All right, welcome back. I don't know. Led Zeppelin's a popular bumper music. I don't know why. It comes to me when I'm talking about radio. Led Zeppelin. Okay, enough of that. So when you first get your DigiPi, the first thing you're presented with is the web interface for this, where you got all of your data modes here that you're interested in, all of your launch links so you can see the apps and what's going on. But there's also this initialize link you see down here at the bottom. Now, these are the things that were like essential. These are the things I could think of that I want to make it easier for you to, you just enter your call sign, enter your WinLink password, APRS password, your grid square, latitude, longitude, rig type, number, device files, all that stuff. So you don't have to worry about editing config files all over the place. And there are literally, well, hundreds. So this web interface really tries to make amateur radio data modes more accessible, so you can configure all of these modes and make them yours with your call sign, your information. So that's the initialization link. But what if this isn't enough? What if it's not enough to, put your go with your latitude, longitude, rig control, large display? What if you want to go ahead and tweak that or really customize it? This is really very simple. This is for the uninitiated. So if you are a power user or you're Linux proficient, you're good on the command line, you can edit files. Let's check out some tweaks we can make to the DigiPi. So I'm going to go back right here. So the first thing that a lot of people probably think of, let me make this a little smaller. So if you're using this for APRS or packet radio, you can see down here the DigiPi has a cool little screen on it. It'll show you all of the call signs that are scrolling by on their little icons as they pop up. I think we got 3 of them down there. But what if you want to see more information? What if you want to see the actual weather for weather stations and position comments, things like that? There is a secret option to make that happen. So let's open a shell first and foremost. Okay, let's go out to click on shell right here. And we are going to log in as user Pi. Password of Raspberry, and I am going to zoom this in so it's coherent looking. So the first thing we want to do if we want to change anything on the DigiPi, first of all, it's a read-only file systems. So we want to sudo remount. Okay, that says as a super user, remount the file system is read write. Now we can make changes to the file system. So let's say we wanted to change this display. We're in APRS here, just in TNC mode, reporting stations. Let's do a VI direwolf.tnc.sh. All right, that's the command that actually starts the program that we're seeing right here. And you're going to search for a thing called direwatch. That's the software that drives the display. And then go ahead and put a -O right there on this command line, just like this. I'm going to go fast because remember, I'm expecting you guys to be technical. And again, you can use any editor you want. I'm using VI. You might use Nano. That's okay. That's okay too. So now when we restart the TNC, we can go over here and say, actually, this is a cached copy. I was running FD8 for a while. So now when we turn off the TNC here, and you'll see it goes blank, and then it will turn on the TNC. Now this time, as we receive stations, they will be full screen. You'll see 1 station per screen, and it's probably going to take forever for a station to show up here. There it is. There's a weather station. We get the weather info and things like that. So that's the first tweak you can make. This is a popular one. I don't know. Initially, I couldn't decide if I wanted a list of stations or just show 1 station at a time. So that's Greg's weather station, as a matter of fact. So that's the first tweak you could make to the APRS stuff. In general, what you want to do in Pi's home directory, there's just a ton of files, right? So anything, if you want to tweak the direwolf stuff, the packet radio stuff, all the comp files are here. So we got direwolf.digipeater.node.tnc, WinLink. Those are the respective direwolf.conf. So those are all the packet modes for that. Let's say you wanted to change the position beacon. Because right now I think it just says some shameless ad for DigiPi in the beacon text if you're doing beaconing. Let's do vi direwolf.digipeater.conf. Okay, this is the conf file for the Digipeater service. And then in pBeacon, you can go down here. This is your position beacon, and you'll notice again there is a shameless ad for the DigiPi. In fact, I need to change the domain for that. I'm just going to change it to digipi.org. Because I got a new domain. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for the domain, digipi.org. And that now our position beacon, every time we send out a beacon as a Digipeater, it's going to have that position text in it. So that's really just editing the configuration files for each one of those services, right? So that's the packet stuff that you might be interested in. I got some small notes here. I want to make sure I got everything cool. Let's say you wanted to change the web interface here. Right now it just says DigiPi. If you have more than one DigiPi, it gets real confusing. Maybe you want to say, which DigiPi it is. This is the Raspberry Pi 02 wireless, right? So that's what I call it. So when I'm looking at a screen, I don't know which one it is. So there's a couple of things you can do there. You can go cd var www HTML, all right? I changed into that directory. And then edit, or use nano, I use VI, headers.php, and you'll find the title right here, and you'll find it again down here. It's for DigiPi. This is where I put Z2W. So change the HTML there, and I can make it 0 or what, Pi 4 or something, maybe use the host name or something like that. So go ahead and change that, and then when you restart actually, no, you don't have to restart the web server. You can just do a simple click up here and it'll reload that web page and you'll get a customized web management interface. And it says DigiPi 02 wireless, in my case. Make sure we got that stuff. Speaking of the host name or changing the name of the Pi or kind of customizes it, to edit the host name, you type sudo vi etc host name. I don't know, I couldn't find that file earlier. And you'll see the host name is called DigiPi. That'll be its name on your Wi-Fi network. You can change this to DigiPi 4 or DigiPi 700. I can change it to DigiPi 02 wireless if I wanted to. I don't know, it's getting complicated. Let's say I change it to that. I can write that out, but also sudo vi etc host. This is important. And down here, I've added a bunch of them, but you can add yours. So DigiPi 02 wireless and add it to there. Now we've changed the host name. Not only have you changed the host name on the internet, but you also changed the Bluetooth name. When you bind to this over Bluetooth and start using Bluetooth, that's how that will work. I'm going to actually back that out because this is going to get confusing. You have no idea how many DigiPis I have. I mean, I've got gazillions of these things. Here's a Pi 4, right? Totally works the same way. Write that out. All right, so that's a lot of the host name, the packet radio stuff we covered. Let's talk about, maybe you want to start FLRig before, that's kind of like a way to manage your radio using a GUI, change frequencies, and then have all of your apps use FLRig for all of their rig control stuff. We can go into cd.vnc and then VIX startup. All right. And in here, you're going to see FLRig is either commented or uncommented. If you want FLRig to start, lose that pound sign. That's the comment. If you don't want to start, put it back. You'll notice in my initialization screen, if you go over here to the initialize link, you will see FLRig. You can use FLRig for cat control. But if you want to change that back, you can. So that's just basically what that web form does, is hack this little part of X startup right here in the .vnc folder in Raspberry Pi's home directory. All right, what else we got? These are like, everyone asks about this stuff all the time. Hey, another big one is, what if I want to use a FLRig or a SoundLink? Those are kind of special radio interface devices that DigiPi doesn't support specifically, but you can hack it in. The community has figured this out. It actually uses a kind of a lesser known method to do push to talk, and that's when the serial port's ready to send signal, the RTS signal, when that's exerted as a high, the DigiRig knows to turn on your radio to push to talk on your radio. So one way to do that, let's say you're using, remember we got a lot of conf files, so direwolf conf. These are all of the ones here. We're going to change it so the Digipeater uses DigiRig. I'm going to do direwolf.digipeater.conf, and you're going to look for these push to talk lines, and you can see two of them right here. They're both commented out, okay? Actually, the DigiPi software, when it starts stuff up, it figures out which one's more appropriate. And in the future, I'll get out the DigiRig support, but I just want you to type PTT dev tty USB 0 and then RTS. Just put that line there and save the file. The last PTT entry in the file always wins, so just make sure you put it below the existing PTT lines, and then your FL rig, and I'm sorry, your DigiRig and your SoundLink, anything uses that C Media chip, that has the GPIO pin on it, is going to want this RTS line here. This is just kind of an interesting way to do push to talk. So go ahead and save that file out like that. I don't actually want to have one of those devices. I should really try that out. I know they're really popular. All right, so I think that covers most of the packet-based stuff. Let's start talking about some of the more interesting. Let's take a look at WSJTX. So to start WSJTX, I want to click right here on the on link, and that's going to fire up WSJTX on the Raspberry Pi. You can see it, that's running right there, WSJTX FT8. Now to actually see the app, you click down here on this link where it says WSJTX, and it'll show the app running in your web browser, basically. Actually, so it's really big. Let me kill the zoom a little bit. So the zoom at 100% is this big, which is kind of small, right? Maybe you got if you've got a tablet or something, that actually makes sense. Let's say I've got a tablet running, let's do VNC. And it actually makes sense in a tablet when I connect to the DigiPi. Yeah, I would like to continue. And that's okay. It's kind of small. This is kind of the default, but you can make it bigger if you want. In fact, you can make this any size you want. This is, again, in the tablet. If you were to make it bigger or smaller, let's make this smaller. Let's see if I can close this. Disconnect and close my tablet. All right, so let's see if we can change the resolution. You can make this resolution anything you want. So the apps appear to be running in your web browser. That's kind of how DigiPi works. So what we use is we're using VNC for one app at a time. Let me see if I can find my shell here. And of course it is tiny. Let me see if I can zoom this in again so you guys can see it. Is that too big? I don't know. All right, so at this point we want to sudo vi etc tight vncserver.conf. This is the file we're going to use to modify the size of that desktop. And down here, you're going to see a couple of geometry options. Now, I do have a checkbox on that initialize page where you can select one or the other, either 1280 or 1024, but you can change it to whatever you want. So uncomment the 1280 by 1024 line here and write that out. And that'll make a bigger display because it was currently set to 1024. And now when you go over to, let me exit it. Actually, you don't even have to exit out of this. I'm going to stop WSJTX FT8, and I'm watching it on the screen over there. Now it has stopped, and then I'm going to start it again. And this goes for FLDigi and JS8 call and stuff too. So now WSJTX FT8 is running on there again. Got a green light. I'm going to press down here for the launch link. And now we will see it should be a lot bigger. Well, once I get the zoom under control, that's 200% zoom. Let me get down to 100%. See, now it's a lot bigger now at 100% zoom. This is really what you want. And I can't believe, boy, the band conditions have just tanked today. I mean, we should see a bunch of signals there. That's actually connected to my HF antenna, so we're hardly seeing anything on WSJTX today. I don't know. Maybe we can change bands. I'm gonna end up playing with radio all day. Let me change the frequency. I can change the frequency here. Use the tools we've been provided. Yeah, I don't know. My antenna, it's not disconnected. I don't know, it's just the bands are just bad today. But anyways, we changed the size of the application on WSJTX. Now, another thing is, a lot of people ask, well, where's the waterfall, Craig? Well, the waterfall is actually underneath here. If you'll notice, this is actually a window management environment. It's called the Motif Window Manager. It goes back a ways, but it's really small, really lightweight. So now we can see our, transmit and receive portions of the band there. That, all works fine. So this is actually a desktop, and you can minimize these apps too. I maximize them when you first start them, and they have little icons down here. But what a lot of people don't know is if you right-click on the desktop, you can get FLDigi, WSJTX, slow scan television, JS8 call, FLRig. I would highly recommend you, if you have a limited memory footprint, like a Raspberry Pi 0 or 3A, go ahead and exit WSJTX, and then if you want to run something else, I don't know, on a JS8 call, you can select that and just run that from here. So it's kind of like a real mini Raspberry Pi desktop. I don't load the full desktop just because this stuff just won't fit in our base memory of 512 megabytes, which is what we typically use. So yeah, here's JS8 call running. Again, on the Raspberry Pi 0. I could actually change the frequency here. I don't know, why is It's just so bad today. Well, I got a lot of noise there too. Man, that's one. Bad news. I'm gonna end up playing radio with you guys now. If I, once I start this stuff, I can't stop. Maybe we should see something. 14078. Yeah, it's just yeah. I can see them there. There's noise over them. Actually, 20 meters is actually doing FT8. And man, that's it. Nothing below that. It is daytime though. Anyways, that's JS8 call doing JS8 call stuff, and we can manage that down here. Looks like there's signals coming in. I don't know. See, now I got to see the signal coming through. See, somebody say something. I don't even know if that was decoded. I've got so much interference from the lights. All right, so hey, we covered changing the size of the applications. These can be any size. So you want it to be small if you're using a phone or a tablet, and you want it to be big if you're using a big old PC, to display that. So let's close that. I'm just going to shut down WSJTX FT8. Let me see what else we got. I showed you the desktop menus. I showed you how to do the push to talk for sound link. There's one other thing. Let's say you want to change those desktop menus that we talked about. There's a thing called, let me get the zoom working again. Come on, zoom, 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 zoom. That window manager I talked about, it has a configuration file called via.mwmrc. That's Motif Window Manager RC. And that menu that we right clicked on the desktop, you can define that there and put whatever menu items you want. See who we got, FL Digi, FT8, slow scan, JS8 call. I mean, you can actually change the colors and all kinds of characteristics about that window manager that's kind of running stealthy on that desktop. So let me see if we got everything else. We changed the beacon text. What else have we done? Have we done 10 things yet? I'm looking at my list right now. We changed the web interface, host name. We got FL Rig running. I think that's it. A lot of people say, well, hey, Craig, I don't like the read-only file system. It's too much of a hassle for me to type sudo remount every time I want to make the file system read-write. See, it's read-only for two reasons. One, so you don't get weird SD card wear, so it's not writing to the file system all the time. And two, so, when you set it all up at home and then you go to the Parks on the Air or whatever, it works exactly like it did when you were messing with it at home, because the file system's exactly the same. So, it'll always work. It's more of an appliance. So, but let's say you want to do a lot of hacking. While I'm doing development, I don't have it read write. So I want you to do sudo vietcfs tab. This is the file systems that are on the system. And you'll notice what I did for the DigiPi is I have this RO right here next to the root file system. The root file system is the one with just the slash right here. But this RO, just change this to read write. In fact, I put a little comment in there and then save the file. Now every time the DigiPi boots, it'll be read write. But remember, when you're done using it, you need to manually go over to the web interface and click on the shutdown button at the bottom here. That'll sync out the file systems and keep everything nice and safe. So otherwise, if it's a read-only file system, by default, you just kill the power when you're done. Just unplug it, which is really common, when you've got a solar setup and things like that, and your power can be kind of dodgy. All right, I think we did it. Hey, thanks for hanging out with me today. We did some hacks, the top 10 hacks on the DigiPi. That was totally a lot of fun. And there's more hacks. If you got more questions or maybe you came up with your own hacks, let me know. Ultimately, if it's a really popular hack, what I'd like to do is put it in this initialize link, okay? This makes it really simple for you to, modify all these config files just using a web interface. You don't need to know a command line and all that. So if you want to add more configuration options to this, let me know. I can add them, and if they're really common, to get people started in these data modes. All right. So if it wasn't for the patrons, none of this would be possible. So I really got to thank you guys. It's patreon.com/KM6LYW. Hey, patrons get access to the DigiPi SD card image, which is at, where is this? At digipi.org. You can download it there. This is for patrons of the channel. It does every data mode you can think of. It's what we've been using right here on this for this example. So JS8 call, FT8, FL Digi, slow scan, APRS, all of incantations of that. A real software TNC, so you can use your Android device, APRS Droid. It's a bulletin board system built into it, so you can have a bulletin board on your radio. It does all the packet modes you can think of, node services, everything. It's like DigiPi, and that's what's running right over here, and that goes to patrons of the channel. So thank you. Patreon.com/KM6LYW. Steve Fu, NW2, Brian, Jake, Brian, I need to expand your name there. Sorry. Kevin, I'm just going to read some of the names. The support's been overwhelming, you guys. Jake, Alex, M. Butts, thank you. Tom Gwillen, I think I got your name right. Mark, BRG, thank you guys. We're 31% of the way through. That's how many paid. James Brown, thank you guys, appreciate it. Robert Rego, Steinar, I don't know. Slimy Green, thank you, Slimy Green. Eric Scott, Al Fowler, Ian, Christian, Bob, Joe, Rory, Todd, Sam, thank you guys. We're 83%, 88%. Hey, we got some cool Unicode characters in there. I think those are kanji characters. I don't know why they showed up like that this time. All the way down to Mark Thompson. Hey guys, this has been another KM6LYW radio production. Thanks for helping me hack on the DigiPi here today. My name is Craig. I'm in California, and I am